So I want you all to imagine for me, walking into a room and every head turns to you. Every whisper is about you and every eye is watching to see what you're going to do next. You're the center of it all, the name on everyone's lips. But then, in an instant, that spotlight shifts. Those whispers begin to fade, and the eyes that were once watching you so intently now glance past you without a second thought. Now, you're reaching for that attention you once had before, but now it's slipping past your fingers like smoke. One moment, you're everything. The next, you're barely a memory. 24,893. Since 2013, at least 24,893 people have been shoved into that very spotlight and ripped away just as quickly. Michael Brown, an 18-year-old black man, was shot and killed by a police officer. Dime Doe, a transgender woman who was murdered because of her gender identity. O'Shea Sibley, who was stabbed to death for being a gay man. Molly Tibbetts, who was abducted and murdered for being a woman. Now, news of these tragedies and more sparked international protest and outrage, whispering revolution, words of revolution across the globe. Weeks later, these same streets were left abandoned, now with only the ghost of what had transpired before. Okay, everyone take a deep breath. I'm not here to throw you all into a temporary depression. We already know this. Yes, these statistics are depressing, but this is not a story of tragedy. This is a story of hope. See, the good news is each and every one of us has the ability to flip this narrative on its head. With every like, every comment, every repost, we etch our names into the fight for justice and change. See, social media has changed the game when it comes to bringing people together that share a common goal, but with every rose has its thorns. See, social media is the global epicenter for trends and phenomenon. So when we throw the call to justice onto this platform, we can't help but to blur this line. The murder of George Floyd, boiled down to a black screen Instagram post. Millions of women who are brave enough to share their stories dwindled down to a Me Too hashtag. Now don't get me wrong, these trends are fantastic for starting a conversation, but what do we do when SZA drops a new album? How are these people supposed to get their justice when they're competing with that newest trending audio? What are we supposed to do? We're tired of fighting. See, this phenomenon is known as diversity fatigue. Now, diversity fatigue is the exhaustion or frustration that comes from repeated diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts that often feel performative, ineffective, or overwhelming. Now, with such a heavy topic of conversation, it can be very easy to get tired or exhausted about talking about diversity. But how is our exhaustion fair to those we claim to be fighting so hard for? Advocacy is like a muscle. It's important that we continue to train that muscle so we can make it grow and become more powerful. However, like a muscle, it's when we get tired, when we start to shake, when we continue to push forward, because that is when we truly find growth. Now, where can we find diversity fatigue in our day-to-day lives? Now, this can easily be manifested in the workplace through failed DEI initiatives that often feel performative or much like corporate theater. Now, in 2020, many organizations rushed to implement new DEI initiatives following the George Floyd protests. In 2021, studies show that 75% of employees found that their organizations weren't doing anything to solve diversity or inclusion efforts, despite these claimed initiatives. Now, those same employees who were eager and excited to make a difference in their community now feel disillusioned, like their voices and their actions didn't matter. Now, this can also manifest on an individual level. Think of educators who spend every day teaching us about diversity and are left emotionally drained. Now, every day they're fighting microaggressions, inequity, and implicit bias in the classrooms and are feeling institutionally and systemically unsupported. By doing so, their drive ends up lessening. This diversity fatigue is real and can often be seen in people who are so passionate about their work and end up not being supported on an institutional level. Now, recognizing diversity fatigue is not a sign of weakness or defeat. In fact, it is a necessary step in finding progress and making these solutions. We need to be able to create environments where self-care is supported, diversity work is appreciated with adequate resources, and we're able to measure progress, not only with speeches or with talks, with tangible efforts and change. Now that we understand what diversity fatigue is and how to acknowledge it, let's shift gears a little bit and how to figure out how to maintain momentum in our diversity efforts. Now the first way is intentional leadership. Now as the leaders of tomorrow, it's important that we take that word, leadership, and commit it not only into word, but to action as well. Too often, diversity and inclusion efforts are thrown to HR departments or inclusivity committees without true support from top leadership. And without that true support, these initiatives tend to lose their steam. Leaders must be the champions of diversity and commit diversity and inclusion efforts to the core values and mission statements of their organizations. Now, how do we deal with maintaining momentum in our diversity efforts when we're dealing with setbacks or burnout? Now, the way to do this is revisiting our why. By revisiting why we do this work and why these initiatives are so important, we're able to ground ourselves in our mission once more and reignite that passion. Why is diversity so important in our education? Why is it so important in our careers? Why is it important to us? By being able to understand these questions, we're truly able to understand the epitome of diversity, equity, and inclusion and make our mission statements real and tangible. Now, the third and final way to maintain momentum in our diversity efforts is everyday action. And it's important that we don't revisit these topics once a month in simple initiatives or special meetings, but every day of our lives. Once again, we need to ask ourselves, has every perspective in the room been considered? Every thought, every idea, every action? By doing this, we're able to embed this in our day-to-day lives, and we're able to keep diversity and inclusion efforts fresh and trendy. Now, when considering keeping up the pace with our diversity and inclusion efforts and keeping these trends alive, we have to consider the importance of shared responsibility and collaboration. Now, shared responsibility encourages collective effort, ensuring that everyone plays a role in achieving common goals and maintaining lasting success. Now, collaboration brings together diverse perspectives, enabling people to work towards shared goals and achieving greater outcomes. We can't do this alone, guys. We need to fulfill each other's experiences and listen to each other on a more empathetic level. By doing so, we're able to understand why this work is important to us and why it's important to each other. Now, the most powerful tool we have in our toolbox is storytelling. Now, this is one of my favorite ones because it allows us to connect with each and every one of us on a deeper level. By doing so, we're able to be more empathetic towards each other, and we're able to understand where our backgrounds come from and where our futures are going to go. Think of the Me Too movement and the Black Lives Matter movement. Now, these revolutions started with one or two people being brave enough to share their stories. And as a result, millions of people were able to resonate with these shared experiences, and a movement was created. If we can fight to do the same thing, we'll be able to create even bigger revolution and more to help so many more people. Now, each and every one of us has the drive, the passion, and the intellect to create meaningful change in this world. It is within our power to take that potential and create a better, more diverse future. 24,893. It represents the countless stories of injustice that go untold every day. Those are the stories we need to tell. Because behind each and every one of those stories is the potential for change in this world. So let's embrace that responsibility. Let's take our drive and our intellect and use it to create a more diverse future. Because by doing so, we can save more lives, create more opportunities, and have a brighter future for everyone around the world. Thank you.